Well, it finally happened. I got COVID. Let's get into it. Yes, after 2 years and probably treating hundreds of cases of COVID-19 in the hospital, I finally got the disease myself. I thought I was going to get away with it. I didn't think I was actually going to come down with this, but on last week Monday, I developed a cough, sore throat, had some chills. I thought I was just maybe got a cold, maybe it's just allergies, but because I never get sick in the summer, it's the middle of July. This was kind of unusual for me. Um, but then by the next day, my symptoms got worse. The cough was worse, and definitely had chills, night sweats. Just wanted to stay in bed all day. I had really bad fatigue. But also, I noticed this. So I poured a bowl of Cinnamon Toast Crunch and took a bite, and I could have sworn they were just regular Cheerios. I couldn't taste anything. It just tasted like cardboard. I mean, no offense if you enjoy regular Cheerios, but this was not the Cinnamon Toast Crunch that I grew up with. I'll put it that way. So then I kind of put two and two together. I've got chills, sore throat, cough, runny nose, and now I have this lack of taste. Maybe this is COVID-19. So I took one of those home COVID-19 antigen tests, and sure enough, I got the two stripes. It was positive. And so by now, it was okay because I wasn't scheduled to work at this time, but I was actually scheduled for a couple night shifts later in the week. So I called my work and said, hey, even if I do the recommended 5-day quarantine, I'm still going to miss that first day. So I felt really bad about it, but I had to ask for coverage for my night shifts later in the week. Because generally the rule is if you have COVID, you got to quarantine at least 5 days. And then if your symptoms are improving, you can take a repeat test. If it's negative, then you can go back to work. But otherwise, you're looking at a 10-day quarantine, in which case I would miss all of my shifts that week. And so that was really hard for me. I've never called off sick. Like as an adult, never, not even once in my entire life. I never missed a day of school, never missed a day of work. I think the last time was like second grade when I had pink eye and my mom took me out of school for that. But I'm not somebody who calls off sick for any little thing. So that was really hard for me. But, forget about COVID. I mean, I felt so bad, so fatigued, couldn't even get out of bed. There's no way I could have done my job. Had I gone to work. And plus I'd be a big risk. I could infect everyone else, could infect other patients, people with comorbidities who are likely to get even more sick than I was. So the next day was pretty much dictated by the symptoms. For my sore throat, cough, runny nose, I would take NyQuil at night. During the day I had, I don't know how many of those Ricola lozenges, remember those commercials? Had those. And then anytime I had chills, I would take Tylenol. And for the next day, it was pretty bad. It was like a solid 3 days where I was pretty much hardly ever even left my bedroom. But then by day 4, I was definitely feeling better. The fever was gone. I still had a cough. But overall, I think things were headed in the right direction. Now with COVID, I admit that my perception of it is a little bit skewed because I work as a hospitalist. So I only take care of people who have really severe cases where they're sick enough to end up in the hospital. And the big thing we really focus on is hypoxemia or low oxygen concentration. So I do have an iWatch. I don't know how reliable this thing is, but the iWatch can detect my oxygen saturation. And for the most part, it would stay in the high 90s, like 96, 97. A couple times it dipped to 94. And that was a little concerning to me. I mean, it wasn't into the 80s, but still, if this was a general trend of oxygen getting lower and lower and lower, my plan was that I was actually going to even go to the emergency department if I found that I was in the low 90s or high 80s. Because that hypoxemia, that's really the point where you need a lot of different treatments. Things like dexamethasone, a steroid to take oftentimes for 10 days to reduce inflammation in the lungs. Also remdesivir, that's medication, antiviral medication. Tocilizumab, that's another one. That's an immunosuppressant, also acts very strongly on the inflammation in the lungs. But all those you want to give to people who are hypoxemic or their oxygen level is actually low. In my case, that never happened. Anyways, back to the story. So by day 5, I was definitely, no question about it, feeling better. Still had the cough, still had kind of a scratchy throat, I was very hoarse voice. couldn't really feel comfortable making videos. You know, this is my favorite thing to do. And so I was bummed out about that. This is the first video I've tried to make since I've been sick. But for the most part, I was feeling better. And now I'm about 7 days out and I feel energy levels almost back to 100%. Obviously, I still have the sore throat. Well, not a sore throat, but a hoarse voice issue. I'm still coughing, but I feel pretty good overall. And so I think as far as COVID-19 goes, I definitely do not have a lot to complain about. And I think I will continue to recover. So thanks so much for joining me in this video. Here's another video that I will link right here. If you enjoy medical content or healthcare related content, feel free to hit the subscribe button and I will see you guys next time.